Hi guys, if you ever wanted to run bigger models on your local GPU, you can do so using Unsloth. Let's see how in practice we can install it on our local machine via container and run models on it. From its main site, you can go to installation and then Docker. And they advise you to have the NVIDIA toolkit as well as Docker already installed. So once you are inside of WSL, you can run the following command. And then you just need to create a container using the Unsloth image. So let's say that we are inside of WSL. You just need to run this command. This approach is fine, but you should all the time log into the container in order to create and execute your code. A more flexible approach is by using dev containers. So here is a simple configuration that you can place inside of your home directory in WSL under the .dev container and then devcontainer.json file. So first we are specifying the image as before, and we are specifying that we would like to run on the GPUs, so the container to be able to access our GPU. There are two more important things. One is the mount specification. So first we are saying that our current /work, the type bind means that whenever we are writing something inside of our local directory, it will be reflected in the container and vice versa. So it will be just like symbolic link to the container. The next important thing is to specify the remote user. So you need to be root in order to run certain workloads. Otherwise, you have permission errors for writing into the container and others. So as long as you're not going to publish this information, it's not a critical bug and you're going to develop on your local machine, this kind of allowance is okay. All right, so when you're ready, you can press F1 and then you can open the container or rebuild it using this configuration. And this will download the image if it's not already downloaded and run VS Code inside of the container. So you can work directly in the container with all the installed libraries and dependencies inside. All right, I'm here already in the container. And as you can see here, we have so many notebooks provided from Unsloth. You can choose the model of your like and run it depending on the hardware that you have. Basically, you can run up to 7 billion models if your video card has around 8 gigabytes of RAM memory. Then from here on, it's easy. Those are the cells that you need to run. As you can see, you have different versions of the models provided, and you just need to choose what kind of model you would like to run and to start training the model by just clicking on the execute cell button. As you can see, Unsloth will be patching the local execution and WSL in order to run faster fine-tuning over the models. It's quite interesting to see the whole process running locally. And as you can see, the next step is to add LoRa adapters that will reduce the space and freeze some parameters which will not be updated so that we can train on lesser parameters and take less memory on our machine. The next step is again to execute the next cell. And this way you can follow the whole tutorial. One thing that I can recommend is that every time that you're experiencing difficulties or not understanding part of the code, you can always ask directly inside of some kind of AI chatbot. Now here I'm using Gemini, so I can select part of the code, right click, and for example I can click either explain for this to be explained using Copilot, or I can copy the code and in the Gemini Code Assist I can ask, could you explain this? So after providing nice context, Gemini happens to be quite good explainer, and this helps me a lot while learning about the models and further in the process of their fine-tuning. And after writing the question, if you want to be sure that you're focused on the current piece of the code, you can just You can just add it to the question, because sometimes the context is not interpreted properly, especially when we are running inside of Python notebook. So as you can see here, we have already some kind of short explanation, and you can continue with your questions until you're fully satisfied with the answers. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and it can facilitate your learning or working experience with large language models. Thank you, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel.